Hello, everyone out there. That felt weird to say it that way. Welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 353. Wait, is it 300 or 200? Oh my gosh, it's 300. 353.
Yeah.
God damn.
That was a weird moment there where I almost lost 2 years of my life and didn't realize it.
So we're closer to 400 than we were 300.
That's crazy.
That is accurate. Yes, that is
crazy.
That is math.
That is how numbers work. I'm Ben. With me here today are the beautiful boys from the podcast of phantoms who happen to be attractive. First up is Brandon. Brandon's just looking at me like, shut up, dude.
No, that's just my face.
Bando, you're wearing that nice Bethesda shirt. I still have that shirt. But for whatever reason, mine was like printed slightly off center, and then it cracked over time and stuff. So now I don't wear it because it looks bad. But how are you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, I do enjoy this shirt. All the swag I got from back then, I would say with very few exception, is still good. A little bit too small. I'm a little bit larger and not taller, but larger. But I still wear it as an undershirt. You know.
Do you still have that Rage 2 shirt?
I do somewhere. I have not worn it in a long time, but I very rarely get rid of clothes, and it's a problem.
I have one, but it is a adult medium. I walked in and they were like, "What size shirt do you wear?" I don't remember if I said XL or 2XL at the time, whatever. And they were like, "Okay, cool. We only have mediums." And I just looked at her and I said, "Then why did you ask me what size I wanted?" She goes, "I have no idea." And she goes, "Do you still want it?" And I said, "Yep." And then I don't remember if I gave it to my wife or it's just in the closet for some reason, like many of my old t-shirts that no longer fit. But
Right.
that was a funny one. Like, it wasn't like, "What size do you want?" Hoping I would say large and she could give me a large, or hoping I would say some size that she had. It was, "You can either have a medium or nothing, but what size do you want?" And I really took offense to that.
Yeah. Maybe she just wanted to know.
She was just like, "I'm thinking about buying you a sweater, man."
Yeah, she was hoping you'd be a medium, and then she'd feel really good. But I'm okay today.
I don't think
okay.
almost anyone has looked at me in the last 25 years and thought, "I bet he's a medium."
I don't know, dude. It's all about perspective and a willingness to put on the shirt.
No one cared about me until I put on the Rage shirt.
You might not be comfortable, but you can put it on. Yeah, I'm okay. I took a nap. I took a nap today, early in the day, which was weird for me.
Yeah, but you're up with plenty of time for the show, so that's good.
Yeah, I took a nap. My therapy appointment was at 4, and I woke up at 4:10.
Oh, good. Did you get charged an extra $300 for being late?
No, not this time. But literally, the only reason I was panicking was because I didn't want to spend money on something that I didn't do like I did last time.
Yeah.
But luckily, there's a little bit of a grace period, and somehow, but by the divine intervention, I did wake up only 10 minutes prior. But it's good. I made myself a nice dinner. I played a lot of Ark Raiders today.
Yeah.
I went to the grocery store. Very productive day overall. I really did want to get the dishes done today, but as it stands now, that's not happening.
Yeah, it's probably a low priority. Like, you live alone, you can eat off paper plates.
At this point in the night, the chances of doing dishes are like single digit.
Yeah.
Like at this time of night.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not happening.
It's 7:00 our time, just for everyone's awareness. It's not like it's that late, Brandon.
Oh, no, you don't understand.
I do understand.
I said single digits. I didn't say impossible. I said single digits. But aside from that, I'm fine, I guess. Yeah, I'm just fine today.
David, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, thanks. It's good to see you. Good to see you, Brandon. Good to see people in the chat. It's I look forward to this night every week.
Nice.
It feels like I'm hanging out with the boys.
Boys.
I dread it.
Oh my God.
Not because I don't want to be here with you. I hate that it's over once it's done, you know?
Yeah.
We could just become IRL streamers.
But we are kind of IRL streamers if you think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got an upgraded setup here. I've joined the 21st century and I have a second monitor. I had a second monitor before, but I had like my computer monitor and then I had like a separate laptop set up. And then when I was working, I had my work laptop. So I kind of was working off 3 different computers, but I've now got 2 monitors and I've mounted a big TV up right above me here. So, yeah, it's nice. It's, I shared a picture with Ben and I think he was just being polite, but he was impressed.
No, I think your setup looks good.
His response was, I need to add a 4th monitor. I'm like, Jesus Christ. 2 monitors it's enough for me. But yeah, it feels good. I feel productive. I'm going to be sending passive aggressive emails tomorrow at work in 4K. So
yeah.
You
got 4K monitors?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. I was going to say
it sounds better when I say it like that.
4K monitors with your 1060 graphics card is probably not going to.
It's funny. So I sent a picture to Ben, and I'm hoping he's going to be like proud and happy. And the first thing he says is, "Oh, good. Did you upgrade your PC?" And
No, that's not what I said. The first thing I said was nice. That looks great, or something like that. I'm thinking about getting a new monitor mount and adding a 4th like ultra wide screen for my project management software, all that kind of stuff. I didn't explain all of it, but that's what I said. And then I said, what computer did you get? Because you were talking about buying a computer for, I don't know, 3-ish years now.
Yeah.
And you were like, it's the same computer. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's just visually it's improved, but I'm still playing Deep Rock Galactic at 15 FPS. So
yeah,
beauty.
And you got me thinking. I looked at video cards again yesterday and pre-builts. I'm just like, it's so fucking expensive, and it's confusing too. A 3090. I don't know what that is, but I think 50 is the current one. So 30 should be cheaper, but it's not. Yeah.
Well, a 3090 is going to be significantly more expensive than a 5060.
That doesn't make sense to me,
But Dave, I've offered many times, and I'll offer again here in front of God and all our witnesses, that when you're ready, I will help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way, your setup looked great. The reason I thought you had a new computer, I didn't zoom into the pictures, but I don't know if you had something sitting on top of the tower.
You sent me a screenshot where you had zoomed in on
I zoomed in on it to show you why I thought that. When I saw it initially, I didn't zoom in.
That thing on top of my tower was my security painter's tape. So I have a daughter who loves buttons, and her favorite button in the whole world is the one that turns the computer on and off. So I have a strip of tape that she's now removed, and that's why it was sitting on top of the computer. But
does she know she has to press it for 5 seconds to get it to turn off?
No, she just press. And she pressed it, I think, 6 times yesterday, and then when I opened it up, I was in the Japanese BIOS, so...
Wait, really?
Yeah. I don't know how that happened, and I just hit enter to exit out of it, hoping that she hadn't actually changed the language, because the worst thing in the world is when you accidentally change the language on like your computer or your phone, because you have to learn the language, or get a new phone.
The phone is a bad one, but I have accidentally changed the language on my computer before and been able to use my phone, like the translate app on my phone, to then view the screen and know what I was looking at. So it works. When I was in Germany for Gamescom for work, I pretty much every night in the hotel, I was pulling out because I couldn't figure out how to change the language on the TVs. I think they had it blocked out actually, but I would pull up my phone to be able to navigate the TV, and then I would spend like half an hour figuring out how to get to the right channel or a channel, and then realize that there's also no English speaking television in Germany.
So do you just hold the phone up to the TV and it translates? Like, does it like pull it up on your camera, or?
Yeah, so I have an app that I think it's just Google Translate.
Okay.
That you can actually you can either take a picture or a live video, and you just it translates it in real time to what it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
How was German Family Guy? Because that seems to be every time I'm at a hotel, there seems to be just like
always Family Guy.
Well, actually, what I was hoping for was a German, like something like that I've already seen, just to like watch it in a different language, or like some kind of stupid like Survivor or something, reality TV, where it doesn't really matter that much. Like I just was trying to go for the spectacle. I ended up eventually just plugging in my laptop and watching shows like streaming from directly from my computer through the HDMI. But yeah, I think I found like 2 channels, and they were news channels that were in English, and I was like, I don't want to watch the news. I want to detach from reality. I worked 13 hours today or whatever it was, those days. So yeah.
When we were in Boston together, the day I left and you were at the show, I had about 2 hours to kill before I left for the airport, and I had to watch what was the Oceans movie with Sandra Bullock? Was that like Oceans 9 or something?
No, Ocean's 8.
No, Ocean's 8, yeah. So that was worse than watching something in a foreign language. So I would not recommend.
Was it the all female cast for the Ocean's crew?
And that's not why it was bad. It was just like nothing happened in the movie.
Sure, Dave.
Just nothing happened.
I don't remember that movie. I know I watched it, so that should tell you something about it. But Oceans 11, 12, and 13, very simple. Yep. The plot's not exactly complicated, but I think they're solid movies.
Hell yeah.
Good movies.
Not Ocean's 8, though.
Yeah, Ocean's 8, I think I watched one time, and then I was like, I'm just going to pretend this one didn't exist. I don't remember hating it. It just wasn't good, right? The big difference between, like, this movie's so bad I hate it, and this movie's passable enough that I never wanted to think about it again. Dave, are our faces on the screen above you that you have to look up and see us? Or are you okay?
No.
I was thinking maybe that, like, I was going to give you like a walkthrough on multiple monitors. That seemed like a mistake.
You guys are here.
Okay.
Chad is here.
Yeah.
Toronto Maple Leafs are up there. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, this is the HP podcast. We talk about video games and televisions mounted high above your head.
TV too high.
TV too high. Do you have the sound on that, or does it come through your headphones? Like, are you running all 3 monitors?
It's just muted.
Are you running all 3 monitors off your computer?
No. That's just a TV on a.
It's just a TV.
Yeah.
What happened to the Blue Jay guys? What happened to those, Dave?
Don't worry about them.
I was so excited for you. Update me.
No, they'll be back in February. Spring.
Oh, okay, all right.
February. Yeah.
They just decided to call it quits, or
I don't know. I don't.
Nobody knows what happened in that sports competition.
Yeah, it's just weird. Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
If you want to help support us in our endeavors and our families and anything else, actually not our families, just us.
Just the endeavors.
Just the endeavors, really. You can go over to patreon.com/handsomephantom and sign up for as little as $1 a month to be part of our Patreon, get ad-free early access to the audio shows, or you can join us here live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern for us to do the show live. You can also hang out with us for totally free in our Discord at handsomephantom.com/Discord. We appreciate having you there. We'll talk about all sorts of silly stuff, whatever kind of silly stuff you want to talk about. Boys, you want to talk about some video games?
Let's do it.
This first one is from the PlayStation blog. It says, cloud streaming officially arrives on PlayStation Portal today with new support for your digital PS5 games in your library. At PlayStation, we're always working to push the boundaries of how players experience games. Since the PlayStation Portal Remote Player first launched back in November of 2023, we've continued to evolve the device with updates like enhanced public Wi-Fi support and UX improvements. Last year, we also introduced the Cloud Streaming Beta, which allowed PlayStation Plus Premium members to access select PS5 games from the PlayStation Plus Game Catalog and Classics Catalog via cloud streaming without needing to connect to a PS5 console through Remote Play. Today, we're excited to share that PS Portal is receiving one of its biggest updates yet, starting in November 5th at 6 p.m. Pacific. Cloud streaming for PS5 games officially launches on PS Portal for PlayStation Plus Premium members, along with a variety of new features that enhance how you can play. It goes on to talk about more in specific games that may be included, etc. Also talking about a redesigned UI. But boys, I want to hear what you think of this. Kind of a pretty dramatic shift here. Dave, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I remember when this thing came out, and my first thought was, is this Sony kind of dipping their toes into the waters again when it comes to the handheld market? Because obviously they went kind of all out with the PSP and then again with the Vita. And I think it's safe to say that both of those consoles, unfortunately, were failures. A lot of people love them. I had a Vita, and I thought it was a really cool piece of tech, but just didn't really seem to catch on. So, when the Portal came out...
Why are you speaking in the past tense?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why would you get rid of it?
I don't recall, but Killzone Mercenaries is a really good game. Do you still play your Vita, Ben?
A couple times a year.
Yeah, that's cool.
I wish I had a Vita.
But I did get rid of it. I probably used it to trade towards Division 2 or something like that.
Is that
I
a
think that's actually
PlayStation Vita?
exactly what happened. But anyways, so yeah, I think when the Portal came out, I kind of thought, okay, maybe Sony's going to actually try and do this again. And I felt like the Portal was a safe, like soft re-entry into the handheld market. But the more I've seen what they're doing with this device, the more I think that maybe this is their return to kind of handheld. And I don't know whether their strategy has changed, but I think the way that they're kind of leveraging new technology means that they're able to do this in kind of a less risky way. Because, I mean, if you look at the investment that was required for the PSP, like it needed its own software. And the same thing with the Vita. Whereas the Portal can leverage the software that's already on your console and just kind of be a streaming device. But now, you know, with updates, it's able to actually stream not only from your device, but directly from the cloud. So I think it's cool the way they're kind of using their own service environment to enhance the uses of this thing and make it more attractive. I quickly looked at sales numbers, and it looks like by the end of last year, it was around 2 million units sold, 3% attach rate. I don't know if that's good, but lifetime Vita was, those numbers are hazy too, but I'm seeing like 10 to 15 million. So that's like, I don't know, 15 to 20% of what the Vita sold with much lower investment. I think this thing is going in the right direction. And the other thing that's important to note is you pretty much need a PS Plus subscription to use this thing. The new cloud streaming technology, you definitely need PS Plus to take advantage of that. So from Sony's perspective, they're moving something that pushes not just console sales, but also PS Plus subscription. So I think that's a win for them. But when you have something that's sort of appreciating in functionality, I think from a user standpoint, it's definitely a good thing too. So I'm glad to see this thing doing well. I think when it first launched, I was kind of like, I'm not too interested. But the further we get away from this thing, and I've kind of experimented with mobile gaming and stuff like that, I think I might be interested in something like this. It looked like a monstrosity too when it launched, but now that I've seen it in person, I'm like, okay, that is a cool looking handheld. So I don't know. I might be interested in this a little bit further down the line. But yeah, Brandon, have you ever thought about getting a Portal?
I don't think it's for me, but I think this is a really good step in the right direction for Sony as far as the Portal goes. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an increase in sales after this announcement. I feel like the added benefit of being able to stream the game, not just from your PlayStation console, but period, is another enticing factor to draw people in as we come into the holiday season. The rise of handheld is something that cannot be argued. And I think even if the launch at 2 million units, I'm assuming underperformed to what they were expecting unless they set their expectations low, I do think this is doing nothing but adding value to something that they've already put all of the cost into. And unlike something like the ROG Ally X, they don't have to pay anybody to take a cut of them making it. Sony is making this. So it's really all greenbacks for them. They're inviting people back into their ecosystem by needing the PlayStation Plus 2 stream. And if you had it to begin with, then you already had a PlayStation anyway. So really it's a nice tool for people, and I think this does nothing but adds value to something that 2 million people already bought, and this will entice more people to buy in. I'm positive of it. So
yeah, and I think in addition to adding value to something that millions of people have already bought, this also opens up the avenue for people to be able to get in the door to PlayStation cheaper, because before you needed to have the $500 or now more than $500 PlayStation. Is it more than $500? Either way, the expensive PlayStation, all consoles are kind of expensive. And then you also needed to buy this hardware, and then you needed to have decent internet to stream it to it. With this, conceivably, you could not own a PlayStation, just have the Portal, sign up for PS Plus and have access to those games, and then also make purchases on the PlayStation Store, presumably. So it enables people to get into the ecosystem without having the traditional home console, which why would PlayStation not want that? They want more people to buy more of their stuff. If you're able to play it elsewhere, you're going to buy more games, most likely. They want you to sign up for PS Plus, of course. And then also, like, if you're not buying their games from them or buying games from them already because you don't have a PlayStation, well, if you can get in the door for $200-300 for this thing and maybe make a few purchases and also the subscription, like, it's just a win-win-win for Sony. And I think this is a win for consumers as well, because it's not a new product they're rolling out. It's a product that's already out that they're adding value to, in my opinion. So in my opinion, this is the right way to roll this thing out. It would be nice if I still think it would be nice if it had native support. But of course, once you start adding in extra components for processing, once you add in extra components for battery, all that kind of stuff, it no longer becomes a cheap console.
Yeah, the price goes way
a cheap handheld. Yeah, exactly. So I understand why they didn't do that from the beginning, but this is a great next step, in my opinion.
$200 is huge. I mean, being able to, like, let's say, I didn't know if that was going to be a possibility. I kind of assumed it would be, that you would be able to play it without a PlayStation, whereas prior you had to have both. And that ends up being a very large price tag. I mean, we're talking $500 or $600 plus the $200 cost of the console, plus the PlayStation Plus. So now, essentially, you could have a $200 console and what is it, $120 a month for the best thing, and you still have saved yourself an insane amount of money. You still would be paying a third of what all those other things together cost.
I don't think it's $120 a month.
Maybe not for the base one. I know it's fucking expensive. It's like $80 a month or $80 a year, I think. Something like that.
There's a big difference between $80 a month and $80 a year. PlayStation Plus Premium is $160 a year for the highest tier.
Right. So I'm saying, like, regardless, you're paying a third of the price to be able to play in the ecosystem.
Right. Yes. Sure. Yeah, I think it's a win-win. It's still probably not for me, mostly from the perspective of, well, maybe this also pushes people to buy digitally, right? If you're somebody who prefers physical, but you have a PlayStation Portal, and you're like, well, if I buy the game digitally, I can also play it on my Portal. Like, that's another sway, that's another cut that Sony doesn't have to give out, etc. Not that the market isn't already headed in that direction towards digital, but it kind of makes the decision a little easier. If you're somebody who's like willing to go digital but you prefer physical, it's definitely the easier decision that, okay, well, I'll just go digital because now I can play it on my Portal too. So that's good. Radic wants to know, what do you think this new handheld will be called?
The PlayStation Porthole.
The Porthole. Yep, that's it. I think we settled that one. Cool. All right, on to the next thing. Unless you guys have anything else to say. GameSpot says Switch 2 demand has exceeded expectations. Nintendo apologizes for global shortages. Brandon, I know you're going to love this story here, buddy. The Nintendo Switch 2 has sold more than 10 million units through September 30th, representing the most successful launch of a new platform in Nintendo's history after the first 4 months. Given this, it's a little surprised that Nintendo also disclosed in a recent earnings announcement that demand for the Switch 2 exceeded Nintendo's internal expectations. The company apologized to people who were not able to get a Switch 2 right away due to shortages in some regions. This isn't likely a reference to the US, as the Switch 2 has been readily available for purchase. But shortages are annoying and frustrating for anyone who had to endure them, and Nintendo promised it's making efforts to meet the demand going forward. The Switch 2 having a successful start despite its relatively higher cost was no surprise given the pent-up demand for the console. But the next test for the console will be the holiday season, when potentially more price drop conscious shoppers look for something to buy. Nintendo is optimistic about the Switch 2's future, recently raising its sales projections for the console from 15 million to 19 million for the current fiscal year. The original Switch, meanwhile, will continue to be sold, but Nintendo is forecasting lower sales. The company now expects to sell 4 million Switch consoles in the fiscal year, down from a previous prediction of 4.5 million. However, Nintendo is boosting projections for Switch game sales up from 105 million to 125 million for the current fiscal year. Dave, I think a lot of people including you, when this system came out, said, "Nah, it's just not for me," because of the price and maybe the added benefits and all sorts of factors that go into it. But there were people who were like, "This thing's gonna bomb," and that's clearly not been the case so far. Um, Nintendo once again has beaten expectations, their own expectations even, which is a story we feel like we constantly talk about with them. What say you?
Yeah, I call bullshit on the whole it exceeded our expectations. I think this is a manufactured scarcity thing. And I'll call bullshit on it, but I think it's a smart strategy. I think if you build that perception that you have a hot ticket, that you have something that is going to sell out quickly, then that's good PR. And I think that helps to create sort of a longer sales tail, because then when you do replenish your stock, people see it and they want to snatch it up because they think it's going to go again. It's just simple kind of manufacturing scarcity. But
Wait, question on that real quick. I would probably agree with you to some extent, but I'm wondering if that's like they're talking to their stockholders here, right? Like obviously the public is going to hear about it too, but I think Nintendo has done scarcity tactics in the past, false scarcity tactics in the past, probably. It's clear they didn't do that everywhere, as they mentioned in the U.S. It's been readily available, but do you think? I don't know. I don't know what their stock rules are as compared to many others, but it feels like they wouldn't be able to say there's scarcity to their stakeholders if there wasn't. Dave is mute.
Yeah, I mean, kind of where I stand on this is, it's going to continue to sell, right? It's Nintendo. I think I'm actually going to take a stand, and I think I've decided that regardless of whether a From Software game is coming out exclusively on this platform or not, I don't think I'm going to get this console. I just don't want it. I don't like Nintendo. I like a couple of their games, and I never get the life out of this console that I should. And so, I don't know, man. I just don't think it's worth spending the money on when in reality I'm going to spend a minute amount of time to spend this amount of money.
Yeah.
Fuck Nintendo.
I have a Switch too, and I've had it since launch, and the amount of hours I put into it compared to how many hours I put into my Switch 1 is very small, which kind of stinks.
I just don't think there's much of a reason to get it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the new Mario Kart is mid. It's fine. I don't have much of a drive to play it. The only two things that stand out to me at all are Donkey Kong, the new Donkey Kong game by the Odyssey team, and inevitably when the From Software game comes out. And do I really want to buy a whole new console for 2 games? I mean, that's almost what I did with the Switch 1. All the other games that I have for it, I've only played a little bit. I've played 2 games mostly on that game, Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. That's what I played on that console. I have other games, but they didn't get the time, and I'm just not interested. So,
not to be a Nintendo apologist, but that's not Nintendo's fault, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I'm not doing it. I don't give a fuck what they do.
Right.
Fuck Nintendo, as I said, but...
Dave, are you back?
I think so. You tell me.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you.
So I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate a little bit here. And I think that their software lineup has been the best part of the Switch launch. And it's the one thing that's made me want to invest the money to pick this thing up, because I think launching with Mario Kart is really smart. I think having Donkey Kong close behind it, then rounding out the year with Metroid Prime. I know that probably doesn't have the mass appeal that something like a Mario or Zelda does, but I still think that's a pretty solid Nintendo Switch 2 lineup for year one. And we've heard rumblings that Mario isn't far behind, and I'm sure Zelda's coming soon too. So I think as far as like year one software lineups go for Nintendo, this has been a pretty good year if you're a Switch 2 owner. And like I don't know, I guess I'm a little bit the FromSoft thing, like to me that's the kind of game I want to play on like a cutting edge console, not so much a Switch. But I think their first party stuff has been pretty good, and that's the one reason why I'm like, the hardware itself isn't enough of an evolution in me where I need to get my hands on it, but the games look great. So I don't know. I think that's kind of played in a lot to why they've moved so many consoles. But it's Nintendo. It's regardless if you launch with nothing new, they were still going to fly off the shelf because that's just what they do. Unless it's Labo.
Or the Wii U.
Maybe I have like a very interesting perspective on this, but that's even with 3 games. That's playing on PC. I'm like I have a million games all the time, and so 3 games that seems weak as fuck to me. And maybe that's just me coming from that
Nintendo first-party games.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like
think it depends.
PS2
Like,
graphics, but yeah.
obviously, Brandon, people like us who primarily play on PC are not the target audience. Like, it's going to be a secondary or thirdary. I don't think that's a word. Platform for us. Obviously, there's a wider berth, but like the people who play Nintendo, play Switch as their primary console, they have plenty to play on the Switch too. Tons of improvements for games, multiple first-party games that have been great, and a ton of third-party stuff going to the console. So I don't think, obviously, for someone like you, as you've clearly stated, and honestly, someone for like me who shouldn't have bought it, but I did because I wanted to, and I'm happy I did. But I don't think the console's for us primarily. Like, they don't expect us to buy it to be our main gaming machine.
People whose main console is the Switch are 12 or female. So
Or not allowed near schools. No, you know what? There's a guy who hangs out in front of the McDonald's every day in my town, and he just sits there and plays a Switch on his scooter.
Or
and he's at
autistic,
least
yeah.
40, so that guy, he's in the audience too. Ash has an interesting question. The FromSoft game on the Switch, is that been confirmed as a timed exclusive, or is it staying on Switch?
I think from everything we could see, I think it's exclusive.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know for sure if it is or not. I think that if it is a timed exclusive, that usually doesn't get revealed till after it launches.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
So
They've not said. I would be surprised if it's fully exclusive, but
like if
You're right.
Nintendo's going to
Sponsorship.
hand them a bag to be a timed exclusive, they're probably also going to have some messaging behind that of you can't talk about where else this is going to be until later.
well, does it also depend? I mean, they did that with Sony, and then Sony kept the IP. Is it possible that Nintendo could have done something like that as well?
I think the days of publishers or platforms keeping IP without also buying the studio is gone. I don't think that's happening anymore. At least not as widespread as it used to. Like maybe there's some isolated cases, but you can't really get away with that anymore.
Depends on the size of the bag, and Nintendo has
Yeah.
a big, swangin', stinky bag.
I think that if the bag you're getting is big enough to buy the studio, then maybe people would consider it. But there's especially FromSoft. FromSoft could have gone to anybody that they wanted to and been like, we have a game, we want to make it exclusive on your platform for the right dollar amount. They didn't have to give the IP if they didn't want to, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, whereas with Bloodborne, they were probably it was much more common practice at the time, but also Sony probably offered them an amount of money so big that they were like, well, yeah, of course we're going to do that. What's it going to hurt us? Nobody's ever going to care about a Bloodborne 2. And then here we are.
Damn. Can we not talk about this anymore?
Moving on. This comes from IGN, and it says Obsidian knows whenever it announces a new game, everyone asks about Fallout New Vegas 2, but it loves making original IP and sequels to them. Quote, Obsidian says, this is the same paragraph again, Fallout Season 2 is set to hit Prime Video this December, and while Bethesda has a new Fallout New Vegas bundle up its sleeve, there's no word on a Fallout remaster or Fallout New Vegas 2 to capitalize on the surge of interest in the franchise. Obsidian is, of course, the developer of the much-beloved 2010 RPG Fallout New Vegas, so fans often wonder whether it will return to the setting for a sequel, especially given it's owned by Bethesda parent company Microsoft. Obsidian has focused on making brand new games, and it's rather prolific in doing so. It released Grounded 2, or at least Grounded 2 came out this year, Fantasy RPG Avowed, which came out this year, and Sci-Fi RPG The Outer Worlds, which The Outer Worlds 2 came out this year. Pentiment, which came out last year, was another brand new game, although I wouldn't expect a sequel to that one anytime soon. In an interview with The Game Business, Obsidian's VP of Operations Marcus Morgan and VP of Production Justin Britch touched on the fan calls for a New Vegas follow-up, but pointed to its work in establishing new franchises as, quote, joy, end quote. It goes on to talk more about this, but boys, two things I want to talk about here. One, if it the whole idea of like not just revisiting the well and if that's cool or not. And two, um, why is Microsoft failing so hard when they have this gigantic IP rolling out with a new season for the second time and they have not announced anything new for Fallout? That is insane to me.
Dude, Obsidian should not be the people that make New Vegas 2. I think it's a shell of the company it used to be. Avowed was a flop. Outer World 2 was a flop.
Wait, what?
Flop. Dude,
It got great reviews.
Look at the numbers, though.
Really? I haven't looked at it.
Look at the numbers, though. Look at the concurrent players. They were flops, and they underperformed immensely, both of them, because nobody wants to play them. And even if they are decent games, nobody's buying them. And so, like, I just don't know. That's a tough position to be in because you go to a studio that I don't want to say it was made by that game, but that's kind of their creme de la creme. Their like shining star was New Vegas. Everyone when Fallout 3 and 4 came out, they're like, "Oh my god, it's not as good as New Vegas." You have all that hype behind it, and when you have, the rest of your games doing middling at best, sales-wise, why would you want to then put your like shining star? Why would you want to tarnish that name? I see why they wouldn't want to do that. I just don't think it would be advantageous for them to do that at this point because in other ways, in new IP, I feel like they've not exactly proven themselves, at least not in a way that people are willing to spend money on, which is the only reason that they make games anymore, especially now that they're under the umbrella of this mega corporation. So, yeah, I just don't think they have the chops. I think most of the people that actually cared about that stuff and made the games back then are long gone and onto their own independent studios. That's what ends up happening. The people that have the passion leave. And yeah, I just don't think it's a good idea for them to do this. And it would be better suited for them to have something new in the hopes that it doesn't get compared to the old stuff, even though it always will. Instead of making a direct comparison, 1-to-1. You get what I'm saying?
I do. I also wonder. I'm totally reading into their thoughts based on my own insecurities, but I wonder if it's a thing like, well, we don't want to make a new one because what if it doesn't live up to the old one?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, they don't have the talent. Like, if they had the talent, if the games were that good, people would be talking about them. People would be buying them. Games like Escape from Duckov, like, are this single player ridiculous duck game that's like Escape from Tarkov has more concurrent players than like Black Ops 6 right now or something. You know what I mean? So like it just has to be good and it has to be quality. And if people aren't buying the game, it's for a reason. Word of mouth is huge. A couple good reviews from IGN, the people that you essentially give free games to. I'm not saying, it's not always unbiased, but I don't know. I just think that they're not the ones to do it. And I don't know that anybody is.
Dave?
So I think the simple solution here is to have an Oblivion-esque remake for Fallout New Vegas. I think that game is old enough where it could desperately use kind of the treatment that Obsidian got and be really, really well received. And I think it would kind of align well with the TV show and stuff like that. But I do wonder, like, logistically, even if Obsidian wanted to remake or make a sequel to Fallout, didn't they kind of have a falling out with Bethesda? And wouldn't Bethesda need to give them the kind of right to make that game, or would it all fall to Microsoft now? Or that was kind of the weird thing to me.
I think there was a little bit of a falling out, but technically, I mean, Microsoft owns Obsidian and they own Bethesda. And if Satya Nadella says,
right,
we're giving this game to Obsidian, what's Bethesda going to do? Unless there's something in their buyout contract that says that can't happen, which I doubt.
Anyways, but yeah, I think a remake would be well received, and I'm pretty pessimistic when it comes to remakes. But having just recently jumped back into Fallout 3 on 360, I think that New Vegas would be a good candidate for that kind of treatment. But just kind of addressing Obsidian as a studio, I love Obsidian, and contrary to kind of how Brandon feels about their recent games, I thought Avowed was excellent. I loved the first Outer Worlds. Haven't had a chance to check out the second yet, but I feel like I love that this studio has the opportunity to make new IP, and I assume they're getting, the Microsoft bag, and that's why they're able to take these risks with new IPs, because I agree to an extent that their games don't appear to sell all that well, but I think they're quality games, and what I love about them is they are Obsidian games. Like, when you play them, you know you're playing an Obsidian game. They have the personality, they have the gameplay feel, they have the narratives that are like kind of fantastical but also a little bit silly and fun, and you just know what you're getting from them. So from a personnel perspective, I don't know who's come and gone. I assume there's been some turnover, but I still feel like I wouldn't have to see the name of the game or the studio to know I'm playing an Obsidian game, and that's something I like about them. But on the other side, I do kind of feel like they've turned into a Game Pass studio, which is, I don't really know how to explain what I mean by that, except that when I start to play their games, even if I'm really into them, I don't really feel the drive to complete them to 100% like I would, just because, again, so much of their stuff is on Game Pass. So I do wish that they would, try to move away from kind of the game pacifications of some of their games, and they're owned by Microsoft, so that'll never happen. But in any case, I love what they've been putting out, and I love that they've been giving the freedom to kind of try new stuff. The only other thing I'll say is, I know that they do make new IP, but I always kind of felt like Avowed was supposed to be the middle finger to Bethesda's Elder Scrolls, and Outer Worlds, in my opinion, is a more well-rounded experience than Starfield. And I know these don't necessarily need to be kind of compared, but it's tough to not compare them when you look at kind of the pedigree of the studio. But yeah, I love Obsidian, and I'm really looking forward to finally checking out Outer Worlds 2 when I get the chance. So yeah, I hope they continue to do this stuff.
And just to be clear, I just want to make sure, I've not played Outer Worlds 2, played a little bit of Outer Worlds 1, and have not played Avowed. I don't really want to.
You just said categorically, Brandon, I hate Avowed.
I'm just
Obsidian
saying
sucks.
that they don't sell well, and that's a fact. That's just a fact. So nobody wants to buy them, and I don't know why, but nobody does. So,
well, I mean, that's an entirely different conversation, but I feel like people aren't buying them necessarily. People are still buying them to some extent, but because they're on Game Pass, and does that make Game Pass more valuable or less valuable as far as Microsoft is concerned? Like, people are playing their games, but are they paying for them, or are they part of an ecosystem to get access to them? You could argue that one is better than the other, but I don't know if it matters what we argue, because we don't have the actual firm numbers. But
right.
Regardless, we know that Microsoft wants people on Game Pass, and if this studio is feeding Game Pass and keeping people there and getting good playtime, then it's worth it to them. And that's, as long as it's making money, it doesn't matter how they're getting it to them. But I tend to agree with you, Brandon and Dave, that they do feel very much like a Game Pass. Like Avowed, I played a few hours of it and I was like, okay. I kind of want to play the Outer Worlds too, but I'm like, well, I'm in no rush, because I'll do it. I'll play it when I get Game Pass again.
When did the Outer Worlds 2 come out? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
A week ago?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And I get that it's like Game Pass, right? But it has like 18K peak concurrent on Steam. And that's not like an end-all be-all, but I don't know. A lot of people play on Steam regardless of, the PC crowd. I'm not saying people don't play on PC Game Pass, but I know myself and a lot of people that I know, if the option is Steam, I'm going to play on Steam because most of my library is there. So I don't think it means nothing that the sold copies are so low.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. 18K peak concurrence is still a lot. Don't get me wrong, but that doesn't equate to millions of sales.
Brandon's also wearing a Bethesda shirt, so.
Well, he's allowed to
I
criticize.
like
That's
Bethesda.
how it works. Do you? What games of theirs do you like?
I don't like.
Name every
ZeniMax.
game Bethesda's ever made in order.
Name 3 Bethesda games.
And their Metacritic.
Elder
like-
Scrolls.
I don't care for ZeniMax, but I think they have some good studios.
I'm just messing with you.
He likes Doom.
Doom's good. Wolfenstein's good when they don't try and make it into multiplayer.
Is Doom good? Did you play the newest Doom?
I did. I did.
I didn't know if you did or not. I can't remember that far back.
Yeah.
That was this year, wasn't it? That feels like 2 years ago at this point.
It really does not. When games release that early,
Yeah.
when did that release? March?
Shit if I know.
I think it was after Expedition 33, which is weird to think about.
It feels like forever ago.
Expedition 33, I think, was April, maybe.
So it might have been, around there.
That also feels like forever ago, in fairness. I think I'm just getting old.
Yeah.
On to a Nintendo story Brandon will like a little bit more. This one comes from Kotaku. It's called Nintendo's Messy Palworld Fight Takes an Unexpected Turn. Those familiar with Nintendo are likely aware of the company's litigious proclivities, and scoring a patent for summoning monsters and having them fight on your behalf, known as the 397 patent, was an essential victory in Nintendo's battle against Pokemon with Guns survival game Palworld. Patenting a new mechanic is nothing new, but this particular patent had been regarded by many as absurd, and acquiring it hasn't exactly been the victory the Pokemon company seems to have been hoping for in its quest to deal Palworld an irreversible loss. Joining the chorus of folks saying this is silly is Trump nominee John A. Squires, director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Squires has highlighted 2 older patent applications from Konami and Nintendo as prior art that might invalidate Nintendo's claim to owning the concept this particular patent focuses on. As a result, Squires has ordered the merits of the controversial 397 patent to be reconsidered. Some, such as game phrase Florian Mueller, are describing this move by Squires as a major loss for the company. As Mueller notes, Squires has not ordered the patent to be yanked. Re-examination orders, according to Mueller, can result in a patent being upheld. But this specific Pokemon case seems unlikely to be one of those situations. Nintendo has 2 months to respond to the re-examination, and in that time, other companies are free to challenge the merits of the patent as well. These days, it feels hopeless to expect any sort of fairness or equitable decision-making to come out of the federal government, but it seems like, at the very least, Nintendo's power grab might be reined in. Brandon, I'm going to let you just celebrate for a minute. This isn't a loss for Nintendo yet, but it's not a win.
Yeah. I think this is a step in the right direction. We talked how tricky it is to try and patent something like catching a monster in a ball. The implications and the snowball effect from that could be massive. And they certainly weren't the first people to do it. Pokemon was directly inspired from things before it. What was it, like Shin Megami Tensei? Does that sound right?
Yes. Sounds right, but I don't know if it is.
So, like, you have to have irrefutable proof that you are the first person to come up with this concept and have it not be broad enough. So this is a huge win. I hope that the courts continue to see kind of what Nintendo's doing, because what they can essentially do here is they can keep amending this and getting it retried. And what big companies often do to little companies is they will keep going to trial with little amendments until they bleed out the other company and they come to a settlement, which usually involves them taking it down or drastically changing. From what I understand, it's usually just removing things. So I'm hoping that this is beginning to be examined in a different way. And I saw some documentation on the internet that wasn't included in this article that, like, the courts were citing very specific details, which they don't always get into, of other games. So there has been, like, a little bit more care put into this than some other things that end up getting caught in the legal system for forever. So I'm hoping this kind of gets squashed altogether, because the bigger implications of Nintendo winning something like this is what is really the problem. And one of the many reasons that Nintendo is evil and nobody should give them money.
Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I certainly don't want to see Nintendo successful in this case. I don't want to defend Palworld here, because I think they knew what they were doing. And there's a lot about that game that just suggests they knew the risks that they were taking, and they were almost kind of trolling the industry. But hey, maybe in the end they'll make a good point that'll set a pretty solid precedence when it comes to creativity. But yeah, I think Brandon kind of hit the nail on the head there, and fuck Nintendo in this particular case. But yeah,
My man.
Yep.
Last year at this time, Dave, we were calling you Nintendo shill, and here you are. You've
there we
grown.
go.
Snip, snap, snip.
Let's talk a little bit about what we've been playing. Dave, I'm going to let you go first.
Sure. I've been playing The Ascent, and I have played this game before. When I got my Series S, it was the first game I played, and I bought it again because it came out on PlayStation a while ago, but it was on sale for 8 Canadian loonies. That's 4 Canadian toonies. And I think it's on sale on Steam too for like $9 Canadian, so it's like 80 cents. This game is fantastic. It's going to be one of my favorite games of the generation for sure. And now that I'm experiencing it on PS5 versus Series S, I'm really like just kind of blown away. Visually, it's such a stunning game. It's a twin stick cyberpunk shooter is the best way to kind of describe it. It's very grungy. It's very raw. There's lots of loot that you collect and upgrades and all that kind of stuff. It's got an unbelievable soundtrack that is just so perfect. If you're into cyberpunk or anything like that, like even just go on Spotify and listen to the Ascent soundtrack and you'll kind of get what I'm talking about. But even further than that, the sound design in this game, like it's like Doom, where it's one of those games where you have to play with a high quality headset just to kind of really get the experience. But I'm gonna go for the platinum because it's a short platinum, and I think this is the kind of game that deserves it. Couple knocks against the game is just like navigation wise, it's a little bit tricky. Like you have like your mini map is more of a radar, so I'm constantly like spamming like the shortcut that shows like the route you have to go to get to your objective, or opening the map because that's where all the detail is. But you know, those are kind of like minor gripes because the game itself is just so fun to play. And yeah, at that price, like it's if you like twin stick shooters, if you like cyberpunk stuff, if you like really cool music and games, then I implore you to check out The Ascent. And I hope we get a new game from Neon Giant. I think they are working on something new that they haven't revealed yet, but that should be coming soon because I think this is a really, really talented studio. And yeah, I'm loving this game, and I'm really glad I've come back to it. So,
Dave, I was going to suggest we play sometime, but it doesn't support crossplay between Steam and anything.
that
So,
sucks. Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, and there's DLC too. But yeah, that sucks.
Yep.
Buy it on PlayStation for $8 Canadian then.
Then you got to get PS Plus.
I have it still. I forgot to unsubscribe. I mean,
no.
it's... I
Then
wanted it.
Ben would have to get PS Plus.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Not right now. Brandon, let's talk about Arc Raiders.
Yeah, man. Holy shit. So what was it? 2 weeks ago, I tried literally 2 matches of this and was kind of unsure about it. And then, you know, everyone was hyping it up. Everyone was talking about how good it was. I wasn't quite sold yet. But what I can confidently say that is tomorrow the game will have been out for a week. And I've logged 30 hours. I've had a lot of days off, but I have absolutely been infatuated with this game. The gameplay loop is super fun. I've always wanted to try an extraction shooter. The closest I ever got was Call of Duty DMZ, which is a laughable comparison to a game like this. Everything about it speaks to me. You know, being able to play with your friends. The single player actually, well, quote unquote single player, when you play solo, it's actually incredibly enjoyable as well. Just kind of the way you progress in the game, the resource collecting. It's really cool in the whole aspect of the PvE being such a large threat in comparison to most games of this genre. Really adds a really unique and interesting dynamic to the gameplay because oftentimes it's more advantageous for you to be more concerned with killing the computer than killing somebody else. So that adds definitely a different dynamic than I've ever seen in an extraction shooter. So much more casual in a lot of ways that I've seen. I think the whole sweat levels are going to continue to ramp up, and I feel like I've already seen that in the first week. The past 2 days have been a little bit more aggressive with the PvP than towards the beginning, but the numbers are really well in this game. There's been very few issues. I can't tell whether I'm having an issue with my internet or it is server problems. I know they're kind of getting slammed right now, but the servers were down for a couple hours the other day, but they did give um, some premium currency, and I think a backpack for that, which was nice and unexpected. I think it was only down for like 3 or 4 hours, but yeah, man, it's really, really, really great. I'm enjoying it so much. I'm gonna be playing it right after this. So yeah, I love it. I love it so much, and it's awesome to me that it's equally as fun playing with my friends as it is playing solo. And from my understanding of it is when you queue in solo, you have a higher chance of getting queued with other solo players, which is nice. Because when you're by yourself, you have a lot more to lose and a lot more wiggle room for. You have a lot less wiggle room to have failure creep in. So everyone's a little bit more cautious and a little bit more willing to be friendly. And being friendly is actually what I strive to do on this game, even though it seems kind of counterintuitive. But I've had a lot of really interesting and kind of heartwarming, wholesome experiences so far. A lot of bad ones, but heartwarming ones nonetheless, which I wouldn't expect in a game like this at all. So,
Brandon, I've also been playing this game and have some stuff to say, but I want to kind of interview you a little bit to bring out more about the game too.
please, please, please.
Because you've got a little bit more hours in it than I do. Talk to me a little bit more about why this game is fun solo when it's meant to be, well, not meant to be, but primarily a co-op or a team-based game. What makes it a good solo game?
I think something that makes it good is kind of what I touched on before. I think that the fact that they try and pair you in with other solos kind of gives you a little bit more of a even playing field. So even if you do run into somebody that is trying to kind of take you out in a PvP scenario, uh, it's on even ground. You're not always running into trios or duos. In fact, most of the time when I play solo, I find solos. The other
I
night,
think that is I mean, I know that is the intention, and that the only time they wouldn't put you with only other solos is if they just can't fill the lobby or there's
exactly,
yeah,
which probably isn't a problem right now.
right.
And with the numbers, probably won't be a problem for a while. But that mixed with the overall way the game works in general, with the PvE being such a threat, I feel like that does also push people into a more cooperative sense. It kind of gives you a more like danger living on the edge vibe, because you never know at any given moment when the person's going to turn on you, and I've had that happen to me quite a bit. So it even adds that aspect that a purely co-op game wouldn't add. That element of danger and like survival instinct that you have to have. Also, the whole aspect of how insane the audio is in this game makes solo play really fun, because you truly can creep around like a little sewer rat the entire match if you want to, and kind of, avoid conflict at all possibility. But yeah, solo play has been great, and it really does feel, unless you just truly do get wiped out by someone who's being a complete dick, there really is a solid sense of continuous progression, and they do feed you breadcrumbs. There is a system inside the game that will, upon its extraction, fail or not only will give you XP if you die every single time, which not all extraction shooters do that, but it will give you just general resources every time you leave or die, which is nice to kind of keep the progression going. So,
Talk to me a little bit more about the PvE in the game. And in my opinion, this game is a lot different than many other extraction shooters, because a lot of games are extraction shooters, but they're really like you're going to eventually meet up and fight each other. In this game, I think you have to worry about the PvE sometimes more than you do the PvP.
oh yeah, absolutely. That's like the most common part of the game, is that the environment is definitely more of an issue than the player. You can kill a player relatively fast, but a lot of the enemies in the game either swarm you with numbers or just have such a ridiculous amount of firepower that it really does pay sometimes to not fight other people. It pays to be quiet, and it pays to stay out of sight. And the AI is actually really good in this game. I feel like it's it's challenging, but not so challenging that it feels unfair. It actually is a very tense thing most of the time, which kind of adds to the excitement of each round to begin with. So I'll be interested to see how they continue. They've already said in the roadmap they're going to be adding new robots, which will be cool to see how they kind of continue to evolve the formula and how it will change up the way you play these matches. So, yeah, PvE in this game is huge, and is honestly probably one of the best parts of it.
Tell me a little bit about the upgrades. Not only, upgrading your resources, but also upgrading your skill tree. I'm curious what you've done in your experience so
Yes.
far.
Yeah, so stamina is also like stamina management is also a huge part of this game. Something that I've focused on is increasing stamina and how far you can run with how quickly things can change, whether that be with another player or a lot of the times with robots. Sometimes it does pay to literally just run away, and I feel like that's been invaluable. There's also a bunch of upgrades to, for instance, reveal what the loot is quicker, which is really helpful in, you loot a chest and then, from left to right, it will populate what's going to be in the chest. And upgrades to make that go faster are really helpful, especially if you need to look for a bandage in somewhere really quick when you're in the middle of a battle, or you hear a noise and you're just trying to see what's in the chest and you need to get out, right? There's also upgrades to, I had mentioned the sound. There's upgrades to making less noise when doing things, being able to loot things quicker. There's specific chests that you can't upgrade or that you can't unlock until you've gotten upgrades. So I feel like starting the game fresh, it feels completely fine. It feels good. But these things definitely do help, but not enough to make it feel like I'm at an insane disadvantage. Like it feels like it's very rewarding to do these things, but not in such a way that if I didn't have these things that these other people that are level 50 have, I wouldn't feel like I'm at a huge disadvantage, if that makes sense.
I'm curious how you found the looting system. And one of the things with many games you need to do is like stock up on certain things in order to survive. But in
Right.
this game, you're really stocking up on things in order to upgrade. And I saw somebody make a comment on a video or a stream or something recently. It was like, does anybody in this game actually use the things they loot?
Right. Yeah, I mean that's something that I kind of there is a way to expand your stash capabilities, and that's something that I now have maxed out. And so there did come a point today and yesterday where I realized that I do just have to start using some of the shit that I fucking have gathered, and not be so worried about losing things. Um, at this point, there's the normal tier system that's like, gold, purple, blue, green, white. Um, and I've started to not care at all about green or white things, because I have such a large stockpile of things. If I have 450 of one thing, I need to just start using that thing. You know what I mean? It's just taking up too much room. And that's also an interesting component to not only when you're looting that there is a big component of inventory management, but in the game as well, searching for specific things, searching for specific robots. There is a bit of RNG that kind of, I don't want to say people might find kind of unfair, but that's just kind of the nature of it. Some of the things can be a bit grindy, but I do like the reason to come back and for every run to feel a little bit different. I think that does add a nice length to the game that doesn't necessarily feel unfair. I feel like it allows you to play the game for longer, but not have it seem not worth your time.
Thanks, Brandon. I found it easier to talk about the game by asking you questions than I did to talk about it because there's just so much here to love about it.
It's so good, bro. I'm like infatuated with it right now. I can't stop thinking about it, truthfully. So
yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool how it's very community driven and community friendly. Like people are very willing to be friends in the game, but also like, hey, let's blast this guy because that's just what you want to do that round, and you have the freedom and the ability to be able to do that. I like the fact that it's like super wiki heavy as well because I just think that makes games like have longer tails when you can't figure out everything immediately and you don't know where to go for everything and all that kind of stuff. So that's a neat component to it to me. I have been a big fan of extraction shooters for a long time and have played a lot of them. And this is probably the best one I've ever played. Now, I'm not going to say it's the best game of all time or anything, but like as far as the genre goes, it's done everything better than the games that have come before it. And that's a lot to say because there's a lot of great extraction shooters that have existed. So that's really cool. I love the way the monetization works in this game. It is a paid game. It's a $40 game unless you're like me and you spent $60 on it. But it also, for at least for right now, and maybe I think it is ongoing, the Dex or the Battle Pass essentially is free completely. And you can claim things from it as you earn points in the game. The only monetization that's currently in the game past actually purchasing it is buying different cosmetics if you want to, but they give you a lot of decent cosmetics for free as it is. So I don't ever feel compelled to do so, even though I have like a bunch of in-game credit that I could because I bought the deluxe edition. So I'm really enjoying the game. I would echo pretty much everything Brandon said about it. I also just think about it all the time, wanting to play it. I haven't got to play as much as I want to, but it's really solid. Dave, are you going to boot up the 1060, get some fans on it, and play Arc Raiders with us?
It's on PlayStation, but unfortunately, no. I've been watching a lot of it on Twitch, and it's probably not a game for me. But I'm glad to hear you guys are having a good time with it. Can I just say one thing I am appreciating about this game is from a UI perspective, I've seen this happen a lot over the last couple of years where you take kind of, I don't want to say a drab looking game, but the color palette in game is kind of, understated. But I like what a lot of developers are doing where they're using the UI to inject kind of vibrancy into this game. And all of the key art and stuff with Arc Raiders is very like neon and stuff like that, which is like very contrary to what the in-game actually is. And I think that's kind of a nice way that developers are adding a bit of kind of visual vibrancy to an otherwise drab game. So I like that about Arc Raiders, but I'm enjoying watching people play it, but probably not for me.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
It appears to be one of those run around a map doing not a lot and then dying and then doing it all over again. That's the issue I had with PUBG. That's the issue I've had with every Battle Royale. I know this is an extraction shooter and they're different, but I've watched one of my favorite streamers play Tarkov for a long time, and watching it is entertaining, but playing it is either stressful or boring, and those aren't reasons I play video games. So
yeah, I understand that. It is a little bit brutal when you like stock up with a full, really great loadout, or you have a bunch of good stuff, and then you end up dying and you can't take any of it back with you. But that's part of what makes it fun, is that sometimes you get to do that to someone else and take their stuff back with you.
I definitely respect the approach, but
yeah. Cool. Well, that's Arc Raiders. That's the Ascent. That's the show. That's all we've got to talk about.
That's it.
We appreciate everybody being here tonight. We appreciate everybody who listens on feeds later on, and all of our patrons. Again, patreon.com/handsomephantom for as little as $1 a month. We'd love to have you there. Radic, trolling as normal, says, not going to lie, Fortnite Simpsons took some of the thunder from Arc.
Can I say something about Fortnite Simpsons?
I was just going to say that.
It's sad because when I first saw that, I just assumed it was Call of Duty.
Oh no.
Because of the reskin.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be Fortnite, which is much more fitting, but good for them.
I think Arc Raiders has really suffered with 300,000 concurrent players on Steam.
On Steam alone.
Yeah. But that update does look awesome. I love the fact that they have like just the Springfield map in there. That's pretty cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.